So we will get started. Thank you everyone for taking the time to come to our little digital pop-up here today. I wanted to start actually by just taking a breath, right? It's been a chaotic week. It's been absolutely crazy. There's a lot of anxieties right now, so take a deep breath. We're here to help you through it. I'm going to go through some of our tips and best practices, and then because we're such a small group, we can actually talk individually about some specific ideas. So Millicent, I have some ideas for you because I know your business, but Brenda, I don't know what it is that you do, so we can talk more about that at the end and brainstorm some potential opportunities to have you be working remotely and still have a digital presence and revenue stream coming in. So can everyone still see me? Because I just got an error message up on my screen.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. All right, so first and foremost, this situation that's happening right now, aside from being unprecedented and something that none of us really can ever truly prepare for, this situation is known as a crisis. So from a crisis communication standpoint, that can mean so many different things. A crisis can be a natural disaster. It can be some sort of unethical issue occurring within your business or organization. It can be your product malfunctioning or causing damage to people. There's so many different crises that we deal with on a regular basis, but this is definitely falls under that realm of crisis communication. So in terms of how to manage and cope with something like this, and speaking to your clients and customers and continuing and maintaining some sort of two-way communication channel with them, the first step that we recommend is to identify who is going to be on the decision-making team on behalf of your business and organization. So in some cases, you might be a one-person show. In other cases, you might be a husband-wife duo. You might have a partner. And in other cases, you might have multiple staff members who are reporting to you and working for your business. So first step is to make sure that you and whoever it is, if there's going to be somebody else, is your identified spokesperson during this time. It's always good if you can have whoever is going to be crafting messages, or if media calls, and that is a potential that it could happen. Someone could call you and request an interview. We just got called today by a local publication asking us to write a piece about what's happening in the industry right now. But it's always good if that person isn't the owner of the business, because if you need to automatically respond to something that you haven't really thought through, or you don't have a decision made on yet, it's better that it's not an owner who says, well, I don't know, we haven't thought about that yet, or I don't know, I can't make a decision on that right now. Because what the reporter could come back and say to you is, well, what do you mean? You own the business. So if you do have like a second or a third in command who might make an effective or good spokesperson for your business, just be thinking about that, because it could be time to sort of get them trained and ready on how to communicate with media or with other groups that might be calling. Even having a secondary person as your spokesperson, it's really important that your entire team is up to date on what's going to be the new norm. So it's really hard to sort of navigate this situation because we've never experienced anything like it before. So, originally when I was developing the content for this, I was like, okay, maybe 2 weeks. Now they're speculating that it's going to be 6 to 8 weeks that we're telling people to stay in their home and not go out, and restaurants won't be open and all of that. So it's hard to sort of navigate this, but what's really going to be critical and key is that if you do have a staff or a team working for you, that you are communicating to them what's happening. And I'll give you a little example. I have a friend who works in sales, and she literally was not told what was going to be going on. She was not able to respond to her clients in terms of what the business was going to be doing, if they were going to be shutting down or not, for 4 business days. And that's a really long time to have your staff or your team going, I don't know, my boss hasn't told me what's happening. So as we talk about communicating to your clients and your customers, it's really, really important to also be communicating to staff. Even if your staff is not currently working for you, if you're a seasonal business, you haven't opened for the year, it's still really important to whether it's email those people or do a phone tree or whatever, and just say, hey, here's what's going on. Here's what we're thinking is going to be the course of action for the next few weeks, months, etc. So once you sort of have your team up to date and your spokesperson identified and all of that, you want to outline and begin implementing, if you haven't already, compliance strategies. So right now, if you look at anybody's messaging, whether it's, Gap to your local restaurant, mom and pop, or your insurance agency, everybody's sending out communications right now, and everybody is acknowledging that they are following CDC guidelines and regulations. So if you haven't thought about what that looks like yet for your business, you should definitely be thinking about that sooner rather than later. So how are you going to practice social distancing? If you're a consultant, are you going to start working with people remotely only? You're going to cancel those in-person meetings. How are you going to make sure your facility, if it's somewhere that people come to you, is clean? Are you mandating hand washing for all of your staff? Do you have hand sanitizer stations placed? Do you have Clorox or Lysol wipes where you're wiping everything down? Are you encouraging your employees to work from home? And what does that look like? So if you haven't thought about what types of compliance strategies are going to implement, now's the time to do that. And it may seem, again, I'm thinking of you, Melissa, and I know you're not open right now for the season, coming soon though. It may seem like, well, we don't know, necessarily if, what things are going to look like in the oncoming weeks, so we don't want to communicate anything right now. Not advisable. I would get out ahead of it and just say, these are the steps that we're taking to make sure that you folks, our clients and our customers are safe at this time. Once you have some ideas of what you're going to be doing, and again, it could be as simple as hand washing breaks every hour or sanitizer stations, whatever it is, write all of it down. So don't just have a brief in-passing conversation with your second in command or whoever your spokesperson is or your team. Make sure that you have written every single thing down and you have all committed to it and you agree upon it and you have the resources in order to implement it. That's really, really important. So we have heard some stories right now of people who are going out and saying, oh yeah, we have hand sanitizer stations, just say that, and they don't actually have hand sanitizer stations. So that's a whole nother crisis that could occur. If you're going out and telling people you're going to do something, but you don't actually have the resources yet, don't do that. Just commit to what you can implement right now and write it down and make sure that everybody is committed to that. Because you don't want to look irresponsible, right? We don't want to have someone come into the restaurant and say, on your Facebook, it says you've got hand sanitizer, but I don't see any in here. So make sure you are committing to what is feasible for you. If you have not already made a public statement, make sure that you, I would suggest, highly recommend doing so by the end of this week. Even if, again, you're not client facing right now or customer facing right now. This is something that is obviously taken over everything. The media channels, social, the nightly news, we're seeing it everywhere. And although people might not fully read your statement, or they might sort of be becoming really desensitized to seeing announcements about COVID, it will look irresponsible if you do not address it in some way on your digital channels. So we, for example, I'll talk about Chik Media. Last week, we had a lot of events coming up. We had a sold out event that was supposed to happen tomorrow night. We have an event in May that we're now sort of trying to figure out what are we going to do there. And we issued a statement and said, this was back when we weren't sort of all on pseudo lockdown. We issued a statement and said, we're monitoring the situation. We will be in touch. And ultimately, we, of course, decided to postpone our event that we had scheduled for tomorrow. So we issued a secondary statement. So even if your statement is, hey, nothing's changing right now, you still have to acknowledge what's going on in the world. So if you haven't done so yet, I would suggest by Friday you get something out to all of your clients and customers. How does this impact your consumer too is something really important to include in that statement. So a lot of times people will read something and they'll want to know, okay, that's great for you, but how does this affect me? So make sure you're thinking about that as you're crafting something. How is this going to impact my primary customer? Once you have written this down, you've figured out what you're going to say, you have everything set, you want to be using all or as many of your digital channels as possible. So if you communicate via e-news, it's a good idea to send an e-news out. If you communicate primarily via Facebook or via Instagram, it's a good idea to be putting out messaging on those platforms as well. If you are a brick and mortar and you use signage, we have a dermatologist office that we work with that has hung signage all over their office stating what they're doing. You know, again, hand washing. They're asking people if you're coughing, if you have a fever, please don't, turn away. They have a little sign at the door that's like, no coughing in here. So, that just make sure that if you, whatever current way you communicate to people, and that can even be your website. Maybe you're not on social media. Maybe you just have a website and that's where people go to obtain information. Get something posted. You can get something posted on your homepage. If you have a blog, that's where we've been posting a lot of our communications in addition to social media. Instagram stories. You can go Facebook Live if you want to, in conjunction with writing something down, if you want to have a more intimate connection with your clients and customers, doing something like this could work out really well, where you're just doing a Facebook Live and giving people an update. That's only, of course, if you're comfortable. Not everybody is comfortable going live on social media, which is understandable. You could also record a video, so you have some time to practice. Just go ahead and upload it to your stories or your Facebook feed, and people can view it there. So once all of the COVID communications, once you've sort of pushed that out, it is really important to continue updating people even when there is no update. So Millicent, again, for you, you've got your opening coming soon, and you don't want to post something right now and then not post something for another month, because people are going to say, they're going to kind of freak out. They're going to want to know what's going on. So even if your update is we have no update, that's okay, because people are expecting to hear from you on a regular basis about this, especially if you are going to be majorly impacted by what's happening right now in the world. So feel free to chime in to people, even if it's a sentence or two. Hey, we posted a statement last week. Everything is still on track. We'll be in touch if we have additional updates. So just continue to maintain those messages so that people feel like they're being communicated to, because that's really something that can be challenging for your customer, is if they just don't feel like you're communicating and they have all these questions. You want to make sure that you're getting ahead of that. And that's another reason why I do like the idea of a Facebook Live, because you can offer people the opportunity to ask you questions live. Could be good or bad, right? Might get a question where you're like, oh my God, I don't know how to answer that. But it's a great two-way communication channel that everyone is very glued to right now. People are sitting there on their phones, they're on their computers. So take advantage of the opportunity to touch base with a client or a customer when you're that's not the norm for you. So one of the other things that I like to mention about, continuing to post content is make sure that you are navigating the official updates from the government, from the CDC, Homeland Security, whoever it is that's pushing stuff out. There have been a ton of rumors and a ton of false memes and pictures being pushed out. And we're running into an issue right now where Facebook is actually reporting and hiding content around this topic, and they're not sure what's going on. And it just got launched today, where some people have been posting, whether it's something from the government or opinions or thoughts or commentary about what's going on, and their posts are getting reported and taken down. So make sure that everything that you share on your page is factual and accurate. We always like to say 2 sources is best. There was a rumor 2 days ago that we were going into national lockdown. There was a rumor yesterday that the state of Massachusetts was going into lockdown. And there has been a rumored graphic going around that gargling with salt water cures COVID-19. And people have been sharing that. I know. So I was like, wow, if only it were that easy. So people have been sharing that, and they've been sharing it on their business pages. So we fell victim to the national lockdown rumor. I actually was on a call with a client and I said, hey, if nobody's been to the grocery store, I advise going because this might be coming down the pipeline. So I felt like an idiot because I shared this information based on 2 sources, and come to find out someone had started a text rumor that got completely out of control and went global. So this is also a time where you're going to see people, and I don't know why they do it, but we have people out there who are going to try to stir the shit pot. You know, they're going to try to push stuff out there that's fake. They're going to try to cause panic. So just be really, really diligent and careful right now about what you're sharing on your channels, on your social digital channels. So it's important to be talking about COVID, and it's important to be addressing all of this, but it's also really key and critical that you continue to produce regular content. So you still need to be pushing out content about who it is, who you are, what you do, what you offer. Do not go dormant. Do not stop. I know it feels uncomfortable. We just ran a cupcake contest with Cupcake Charlie's, one of our favorite clients that we work with. All of our clients are our favorite, but we love working with them. And you know, we thought to ourselves, okay, are we really going to run a cupcake contest right now? And I was like, yeah, you know what? People need something to make them smile. So we did it so that people can win, and the cupcakes actually get shipped right to their house. So they didn't even have to leave to go claim their goodies. So it's okay to continue to push stuff out like you normally do. It's just make sure that you're sort of balancing the message with the coronavirus messaging and then with your normal content. What you don't want to do is go dormant and stop posting, because both on Instagram and Facebook, the algorithms will penalize you for doing that. And what we don't want to see happen is for you to go, I'm going to throw in the towel. We're not open right now. I'm not posting. And then, you know, a month later, it's back to business. And now you've got to re-earn your place in people's feeds by posting. It takes anywhere from 2 to 4 weeks to get your algorithms back to acknowledging that you are an active page and putting your content into the feeds of the people who are following your pages. And that's true for Instagram and Facebook. Just, you know, side note here, just because you're posting something on a regular basis, it does not mean that people are seeing it. They will have had to have interacted with your page over the last 2 weeks in order for that content to get presented into their timeline feed. So please, 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 I know it may feel tedious, hopeless, uncomfortable, you know, you name the adjective and throw it in there. I know it might feel like those things, but you have to continue posting on a regular basis. You can try to tie in with what's happening in the world, but don't make that the only thing you post about. Continue on with your normal content. And in fact, you know, to the point that I just made about our cupcake giveaway, it's a good time to run contests because people are they're tuned in and they want something to look forward to. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about sort of what's happening with people right now and what they're focusing on and how it might affect your businesses, but I'll talk about that in a minute. So the other thing I would say too is what's really scary, and I don't have to tell you both this because you're business owners, is loss of revenue, right? So we're all dealing with it right now. We're all experiencing the what ifs. When is this going to stabilize? What is this going to mean for my business? Am I laying people off? It's really, really scary, but I encourage and urge you to think outside the box with how you can have revenue coming in right now, even if you are not open or currently providing services. So you're looking at, you know, one of the ways that we are thinking of, okay, how can we continue to coach people on their marketing and PR help or on their plans and strategies without physically interacting with them. But other ideas can include, if you have merchandise, if your business has merchandise right now, do a flash sale, right? So just because you are not, whether it's open for business, it doesn't mean people don't still love you and they want to support you. So if it's time now, you've always been saying, I got to get my online store up and running. Even if you don't have an online store, you can do flash sales on social media, right? So we don't even need online stores anymore if we're not big, huge online retailers. So think about doing something where people just comment, if it's a t-shirt, comment below sold with your size, and then you direct message that person, you get their address, you have them pay their invoice, and you ship it out. If you, say you're an expert in your field, you're a consultant, how can you provide really strong and important and useful digital content right now to people? So maybe you're a nutrition consultant and you're going to teach people how to cook while they're at home, how to cook utilizing the food that they have in their pantry, right? Because not everyone's able to run to the grocery store and pick up fresh produce. The shelves are barren in some cases. If you provide coaching of some other, maybe you're a fitness coach, you can have people do fitness like we're doing here with a Zoom meeting or a conference call meeting or FaceTime. You don't even need some of this software sometimes if you don't want to have an extra expense. I actually just I work with a personal trainer and the gym shut down. And so she's like, do you want to do a Zoom session? So we're going to do a Zoom session on Friday. So be thinking outside the box. I was talking to my sister who she does tutoring, and she's always been able to do tutoring remotely, but I was like, oh my gosh, you have all these parents who are homeschooling their children right now. Some who feel perfectly qualified to do that and others who don't. I said, why don't you come up with some lesson plans? Maybe Monday it's math, maybe Tuesday it's social studies, Wednesday it's art. And parents are gonna love something like that because they're gonna need stuff for their kids to do. I'm not a parent, but I have 11 nieces and nephews, and I can't even imagine what some of you parents are dealing with right now. So you're gonna be looking for activities for students to do. So sort of think outside the box on how you can continue to provide value to your clients. You can also do, if you're a seasonal business and you want people to book their stay with you, you can offer some sort of incentive and some sort of discount just to keep money coming in. A lot of people are doing gift certificates right now. They're pushing that out. That's a great idea as well. But maybe there's some sort of incentive if you book your stay for the month of September, you get a free bottle of champagne or something like that. People are going to need that. They're going to need some sort of sigh of relief when we come out of this. So I'll stop right there and just say, I have one more point that I want to make, but in terms of sort of piggybacking off of what I just was talking about, right now, people who are in okay financial situations, because we do need to acknowledge that not everybody is, lots of people are being laid off, lots of people are out of work, lots of small business owners are losing clients, so we have to acknowledge that. But for people who are in salaried positions, who are able to work from home, those people are really, they're planning vacations right now for the fall because things are very cheaply priced. So something to think about if you are in the hospitality industry. That's one thing to note, that you might want to jump on that bandwagon a little bit. And I know it's sort of like a kick in the gut to think about discounting things when you're already going to be losing revenue, but if you want to get some people locked in for, late summer, early fall, God willing, this will be all gone away by then. It's worth thinking about, because that's what people are doing right now. They're planning vacations. They are making those phone calls that they've been putting off. So they're probably calling and getting their doctor's appointments set up for late, a couple months away. They're maybe getting that insurance quote that they've been putting off. Oh, I got to revisit my insurance. They're doing sort of those like household cleaning items. They're thinking about home projects. So we have a client that does floor installations, and they're going to be pushing out some messaging around that because people are sitting in their homes thinking, oh my God, I literally just said to my husband today, we have got to replace the carpet in our bedroom at our condo at the Cape because I've been sitting in here for days and I'm like, it's disgusting. We have to do it. So people are thinking that mindset. They're looking at home repair and some of those household items. So if you work in that industry, that's something to consider as well. And then the final point I will say before we open it up for some Q&A and for some special brainstorming with each of you is that you want to start developing your post-virus plan now. So how are you going to get back out there? How are you going to get people through the door? Are you going to host some sort of event? Are you going to host a sale? What is going to be, are you going to host a discount, a package? Are you going to launch a new package deal? Are you going to launch a new advertising campaign? What is going to be your plan? And have it ready. Have it ready to go, whether it's next month or August or whatever. Have something ready to go, whether maybe it's a big contest, maybe you're going to do a big giveaway for whatever it is you provide. Think outside the box again, and think outside your norm. So don't just say, well, I'm just going to kick it up and post an extra day on Facebook. No, let's come up with something loud and proud that gets people to re-engage with your business after the dust has settled and everything has calmed down. So those are our tips and points. I hope that was helpful for you, and I'd love to open it up for questions. Brenda, I'd love to hear more about what you do and how we can help, because I know I gave Millicent a couple ideas here. So please, let's talk about what you have for questions.
So are we all
I can hear you.
Audio? Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Did you have a question,
So
Brenda?
I do. How do we want to handle this in terms of talking? Are you going to be speaking with me and then others? How are we entering in this conversation?
Yeah, so Brenda, why don't you give me a rundown, and then I'll move on to Millicent after you, if that's okay.
That works.
Perfect.
Wonderful. I do commercial embroidery, silk screening, and design work.
Nice.
So, as everybody's been hit with schools closing and sports, it's a big part of the ramp up right now in my business normally. So trying to reconnect. I do have access and do online stores. So I just kind of activated that for funny sayings on shirts, trying to integrate different things for people to reach out and create sayings that we can kind of work together. So trying to engage other people, since as you know and said, educators are home now. As I went to Hobby Lobby before the break, they're all out there getting all their craft items so they can keep motivated and keep on track and create like we all do when we're in stress.
Yep.
So trying to tap into that. I've been on social media, but as we all run our business, it's really me and a couple part-time people that I have. So I've kind of ramped that up, trying to start stories, trying to create more presence, trying to be a little bit more outreaching. That's just not my norm. So trying to be more engaging with that. My daughter was home for a couple of days, and she's used to that kind of conversation. So I'm trying to get all those pieces in place. So like you said, ramping up for that time when we are in that next stage of people spending and moving on. I don't know, how more to do other than reaching out to folks right now.
So Brenda, what about doing some sort of design contest where you can encourage people to design their own t-shirt, and you could do some sort of voting where people can vote in, and maybe the winner wins, 2 of those shirts actually designed. It could be around sort of like, you could do it a couple different ways. You could do it based on humor, and sort of making fun of this situation, because a lot of us resort to humor. But you could also have people design t-shirts about, maybe it's some sort of motivational saying to encourage people during this time. You could have some sort of contest, let people vote. That's going to engage people on your social channels. And again, maybe the winner gets a pair of t-shirts for free, or enough t-shirts for their whole quarantined family. So something like that. I think that you probably could also offer some sort of financial discount if people book their fall orders early on. Can you give them a percentage off? And again, I know that's really an icky feeling, but it might encourage people to say, you know what, I'm going to commit to ordering my 100 t-shirts in September right now because I get 10% off or 5% off or whatever it is. Is that something that you might be able to do?
Yeah, I'll have to look at those repeat customers to see how that would work.
Yeah.
I mean, it's an interesting idea to get revenue now and save people later. If those people, unfortunately, a lot of those people are team and school things, so that money isn't flowing as much as it would be in a secondary kind of sports market, I guess.
Sure.
It's a little.
Yeah, that's challenging.
I'll have to, I like the idea of the t-shirt thing. Like, that's kind of how I started my post yesterday in terms of launching a store with funny things and trying to reach out. That contest thing is probably on my mind. It's just to structure that and to kind of put that forward.
Yeah.
learning social media as I'm kind of stumbling along to try to put that in place. But I think that's a great idea.
I think it would, it would be something fun for the audience, again, to pay attention to. And that's going to help you in the long run, because what you can do is you can, they have to have liked the page. They have to share their t-shirt design on their own page and get people to like it. You can do it based on voting, which is going to drive a lot of people to your social page. So that's going to help you in the long run, because then as we get back to the norm, that is going to help you to have more people tuned into your social media channels. The other thing too is, are there going to be certain things that are going to happen, that people are going to want t-shirts to kind of band together? I'm unfortunately hearing horrible stories about bridal showers being canceled and weddings being canceled and birthday parties being canceled. And so is there going to be some sort of push, in a few months, that people are going to want to design a t-shirt that, identifies like, let's give our wedding a try now, or, 2020 postponed, or, something that, or maybe something that people can buy for others as gifts to help lift their spirits. So, be thinking about those types of ideas of, what can we be doing that gives people the opportunity to acknowledge or make someone feel better. And I think designing a t-shirt, if I had a bride in my life who just canceled, I'd send her whatever the heck I needed to make her feel better at this time.
Yeah, my niece is getting married, and I was doing some signs for her to do, and that's a new thing at this point.
Oh my goodness!
For people to have to. That's
totally and that's another thing, Brenda. Too. Do you have any clients who need signage at their place of business right now to help identify their compliance practices or anything like that? Can you reach out to people and say, "Hey, we're here for you. If you need stuff printed, if you need stuff designed, I'm here. I can help."
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to think about, engaging people. Also on the design side, which is a service-related business for me and doesn't outlay too much expenses to do anything, is to reach out to people to make sure that their logo isn't compatible with now Instagram and Facebook. As you know, those are important icons to make sure that you're ramped up for the next stage. So reaching out maybe to people to do that kind of service, because I do have a graphic design background. So
there you go.
Yeah, I'm trying to get all those cogs in the wheel kind of moving forward.
Yeah.
It's just, it's, as you know, focusing and outlining what needs to be done and what's critical over the next month.
So one day at a time. Yeah. And don't put too much pressure on yourself. We just take it one step at a time. Identify one actionable item and complete it before you're on to the next. If that helps make it feel more manageable. I just want to take a quick. Sorry, what was that?
This is Jax.
Oh.
Hey, I had another thought. I think something else we might be able to try, and Megan, let me know if you think this is good or bad. But one of the things that I have found really refreshing during this time are the small businesses who have put out statements and letters to the community, being like, "This is a hard time for you, and it's also a hard time for us." Mm-hmm. And like, for example, people those sporting events, teams that aren't using your services now because things have been canceled, letting them know that like by supporting us with your future orders, that's going to allow us to stay in business. Like if people are saying things like, we'll support you when this is all over, but if we don't continue to support throughout, like we may not be able to come back, and that's the reality of this horrible situation. But being really honest with people and upfront, I find just really refreshing and helping. It makes me want to support more than I have been.
I totally agree. Yeah, we're all in it together. So reaching out and understanding where everybody comes from and trying to create a positive for everybody. I agree. Yes, wonderful.
Yeah. So I just want to quickly jump over to Millicent. So she's got a question here. She's feeling kind of uncomfortable about offering discounts when she's already got guests who have booked and are sticking with her. So Millicent, what I would say to that is there's a couple different ways you could do it. You could make it a new guest discount and just focus on people who have never stayed with you before. That might be some way to incentivize people who are now just like, I'm going to need a vacation after this. And that way your existing guests, would understand. I think existing guests who are sticking with you are probably pretty loyal and they do understand. But maybe to those people who have already booked, maybe you can spare one of your nice mugs that you've designed, or some of the coffee that you have, or one of your t-shirts or hats. Thank you for being a loyal guest. And upon arrival, they'll get a free hat or a free t-shirt, or a free bottle of champagne. That's always a good incentive too. I think for you, when I saw that you had signed up, one of the biggest areas of opportunity that I felt was available for you was your merchandise. Because I'm not sure, have you been selling it online or anything like that yet, or just at the inn? If you're talking, we can't hear you. Oh, it's online. Okay. So I would focus on pushing that out on social media right now. I think that you can do some flash sales. Like I was saying, comment sold with your size below and we'll ship you out something. I think that's a really another way that you can have some income coming in, because I think people are going to be feeling very nostalgic. They're going to be longing for the days where they can get back up to visit you. And they're going to want to support you. And maybe you get with Brenda and you design a custom t-shirt about what's going on. And say, we're all in this together, and then your logo or something. So I think merchandise is a good opportunity for you. And I think incentivizing people, to book early with some sort of gift, if that is something you can do. And also, if you do that and you get, a bottle of wine from your local winery, or you get some baked goods and say, hey, we're going to leave some nice baked goods, some cookies in your room if you book now, you're also supporting some other local businesses who maybe will have, an opportunity to support you back. So maybe you could come up with some sort of social media partnership with some of these local businesses where you're incentivizing people to visit, to book, but to also check out the local business when they're there staying with you. Thank you so much for tuning into our digital pop-up today. We really appreciate it. If you want to get more information or have questions about anything that we covered, you can email us at heygirl@chickmedia.us. Good luck.